Hey guys, welcome back to The Struggle with Candice Thompson. I'm Candice Thompson. How do I sound, Mal? Am I okay? Am I doing my smooth jazz voice again?
You sound like Candice Thompson, Candice Thompson.
For our new listeners, thank you for joining us. The Struggle is a podcast where I invite my friends on and we talk about things that they're currently struggling with in adulthood because adulthood sucks. So thank you for tuning in. And to all my old followers, you guys, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate you guys too. I don't just appreciate the new ones. I like the old ones. So thanks for coming. You can find me on social media, Jokes by Candice. And my touring dates, local dates, Jokes by Candice. What is it? No, it's not. I'm sorry. CandiceThompsonComedy.com. I'm sorry. I forget. Who uses websites?
I've heard they're going away.
Who uses websites? It's social media. I get emailed all the time. Let me fix your website. And I'm like, I don't care that much about it. No,
People are offering to fix
absolutely. No, I am going to take a couple of them up, or at least one. I'm going to respond to two and then see.
I'm going to take a couple of you up on your offer.
I'm going to see who's vibing with me the most, who gets me the most.
It feels like the internet version of the guy who says, like, hey, I can get that ding out of your door for like $100.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. CandiceThompsonComedy.com. Okay, so now let me introduce my co-host. It's Mal again. Hey, guys. Say hi to Mel.
Hi.
You told them to say hi to him.
Yeah,
that was
like,
the
no,
confusion.
I pretend like our listeners are here. I say call in sometimes. You guys, come on. Stop being stupid. You know I do this. Say hi,
Hey,
Mel.
everybody. I'm still here co-hosting the show, malhall.com. My website is...
You sound so excited to be here.
It's fully...
You sound defeated. We haven't even started.
My website is fully operational and it looks great. Social media at Mal Hall, YouTube, Mal Hall TV.
That's it? All right.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to introduce our very special guest for today, my friend and very funny comedian, and the other half of Crime Podcast, Rich Slaton.
That's who I am.
Hey.
Hi, Rich.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you on social media?
At Rich Slaton on everything. RichSlaton. And or you can go follow the show at CrimePod. CRIIIMEPOD.
That's right. Goddamn it. We just had John Shefsky on,
Mm-hmm.
and now we have he have his cohort.
You have the responsible one on this time.
Is he the responsible one?
No, I'm the responsible one.
You're both Jewish, which means you're both very responsible.
First of all, he's barely Jewish.
What is barely Jewish?
I supplied all the kippahs. I went to his wedding, right? At his like semi-Jewish wedding, and there were no yarmulkes, which is the Goyish term that you people use for it.
Is his wife Jewish?
No.
Not a...
I don't know.
She's Jewish
explain.
by marriage?
She's
right.
She's Shiksa-ish or whatever you want to go.
Hilarious.
But there were no yarmulkes or what we call kippahs.
So you brought...
But because I'm hardcore as opposed to this like pretender, I had a box.
He's a poser.
I had my own box of kippah in the back of my car. It was just there for some reason.
So yeah, you're Jewish enough for everybody.
Yeah, so I supplied his entire wedding with yarmulkes.
That's
Wow.
hilarious.
So if you want to figure out who's what.
So do you like walk around on Fridays?
No.
Okay.
No. And I'm pretty into it, but I am Reform, which is the more liberal version.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Because I live...
I roll.
I live on Fairfax.
Oh, you live in Jewy Juville.
Yeah. And they're...
Now, if I say that,
Finally, I found one that I can say and then you can't say. It's taken 10 years of friendship, and now I did it.
because we're gonna talk about your Jewishness.
Sure.
That's gonna be
We'll get
one of the
into
things
it.
we talk about today. But really quickly, we're gonna do my struggle. Mal, do you have one today?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, so I have a really
Mal, do you have anything
disgusting-
important? But we'll get to you in a second, though.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
I have one.
Of course, mine trumps his.
I get that.
My struggles are always more important.
Totally.
Totally. This is a disgusting one, guys. I had a really bad struggle this week.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I had food poisoning
Oh.
while I was traveling.
Traveling where? Where were you traveling?
Not ridiculously, like I wasn't cross country, but I went 4 hours past San Francisco. Like I flew to San Francisco and then had to rent a car to drive 4 hours to get to my show.
Okay.
So I ate a salad. I don't know what it was. I believe the culprit was a salad because it's the only thing that really makes sense. I had salad, and I don't want to put this company on blast because I love their salads normally. But I had a salad And then after that for dinner, I had like some pasta. So I don't think
you
it
are
was
protecting
pasta.
future endorsements like a motherfucker right now.
Well,
Olive Garden.
well, yeah, I don't want to, because again, and I normally love their Olive Garden. Candice, you should know better.
The Chipotle salad, no way.
Who gets salads at Jack in the Box? So then after that, I had some Halo Top. And I don't think, you know what Halo Top is? That's that ice cream. It's fake ice cream that's like less calories.
Right.
And I don't think it was that. And I don't think it was pasta. It was probably, and salads make people sick like all the time because they're very, you know, they're on the ground. It's hard to wash. So you have bacteria on them all the time. So I think it was that. And I was fine that day. But then I had to get up I had to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning to catch my flight. So I'm at LAX at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then all of a sudden, and it started with a little bit of gas. And I was like, I've held farts from, you know, Cincinnati to LA, most recently LA to Montreal. Like I can handle a 1 hour flight to San Francisco.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, it was like,
Oh, no.
and then I was like, I sat up and I was like, oh no. And then en route to the bathroom, I started sweating. You know, one of those ones where you feel like you're gonna die?
That flop sweat.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Why flops? Like, could you gonna fall over?
It's just bad.
Yeah, no.
It's the sweat that comes out cold for some reason.
It is cold, but you're hot. You're hot, but the sweat is cold.
Oh, yeah. It gives you the chills.
Yes. Oh, I was like, this is going to be bad. I'm going to blow up this bathroom.
That's your body saying the countdown has started.
Yeah, like you're going to die if you don't get this out of your system. So I literally was like, thank God there was normally there's a line at that gate that I was. There's normally a line into the women's room, but thank God there wasn't, probably because it was so early. But I literally would have pushed people out of the way if there had been. Got to the stall. Luckily, the handicap one was open because I had luggage with me. So I was like, I don't want to mess with. I had to take off my jacket, guys. I was like, this has got to come off. And then I sat down and I was like, oh my God. And then all types of noises, all types of splashing. It was.
You had the scene from Dumb and Dumber.
Yes. In a public restroom.
Is this one of the ones where like you pull your t-shirt up a lith bit just to be safe?
Of course.
Yeah. This might have a splash zone.
I thought about getting naked.
Oh my God.
The only reason why I didn't, because you know, it's cracks in the doors. I was like, you can kind of still see through those. So I was like, let me just get. And I was like, I'm gonna die on a toilet in LAX. This is how I'm gonna go out
Oh my God.
at 6 o'clock. So
But
then,
did you get it all out?
no, that was just the beginning.
Oh,
Terra
boy.
firma?
It was the worst of it, but it was not all gone. So like then, luckily again, it was only an hour flight, so I was able to get through the flight without it. But then when I landed at SFO, I had to get my rental car, and then that took forever because I had a reservation, but my reservation wasn't until 10 o'clock in the morning, so I had to like hang out until my reservation time.
They didn't give it to you early?
I don't remember. I did it online, and I don't remember when I made it, and I tried
I
to
don't want
change
to blow
it.
up this company because I love renting their cars.
Alamo.
Shout out Fox. It was Fox. I don't know if it was my mistake or theirs, so I don't know. It wasn't theirs. It was either mine or I thought my flight was getting, I don't know. And so I had to hang out for like an hour, and then I'm sitting there, and I was like, oh man, and I blew up the SFO airport bathroom.
Sounds like you were on tour.
I was blowing up airports from LAX to Fort Bragg. And then, so I get into this rental car, and I luckily, I was hydrating myself, and I was starting to feel better. But then when I got to my luckily I was able to hold it for the road trip. But then when I got there, of course, I blew up my hotel room. And then I had a show that night. And also, this is on 1 hour of sleep. I'm also exhausted. I was like, I could barely talk like on the phone in my car. I was so tired. But then I got to my show, and I had a headline, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get through my set. I gotta do 45 minutes. So someone luckily had an Imodium AD on them. So I took one of those, and I made it through. But then it was still happening like the next day. I just started to feel a little bit better.
What's the
yesterday.
place that you went
what's
to?
the gig? That's what I'm curious about.
It was a gig. It's no place you guys have ever heard of. It was I got booked for it because I did shows up north. I did some like Tribble Run-ish type of thing in January, which I had actually never done a Tribble Run before. And for those who don't know what that is, that's like, they're like gigs that don't pay very well, but like they're road gigs, and you'll do like 3 spots in a row that are like drivable distance or like an hour apart from one another. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to do this, but I've never done it, and I kind of wanted to experience it. So I did it back in January, and I met a guy who was like, I want you to come do another show up here. He's like, I know you're like better than this, like, and what you get paid to do these. He's like, so whatever you're asking, I'll make it happen. And so then I was like, okay, well then I want this, and he made it happen. So shout out to Jake Burney, because and I'll refer you guys if you ever want to do it, because he's trying to get legit like headliner type people out there. So, but it was great. But anyway, I had mud butt for the past like 2 days, and it just started. I mean, and I flew back in on Sunday, and then went to the Comedy Central Emmy celebration party that night. I was going hard, and I was drinking, and I was like, this is a big mistake, because I was like, I'm not even better yet, but this is I'm gonna risk it. And
Mendocino Farms.
What?
I'm trying to guess where you got the salad from.
Oh, no, it wasn't I was in Mendocino County. That's where this place was. This is Mendocino County. So I was like, why'd you say that? But
see, I know Mendocino County. You're all no detail. That's what your whole thing is. Like, I don't tell you where I ate, where I rented
the
a
name
car
of the
from.
place. What do you want to know?
So where was the gig?
I forgot the name of it. So it's in Fort Bragg.
Okay.
And the name of the place was, I forget the name of the place.
Shakey's Pizzeria.
Yep. Yeah.
Hold on, let me look at the flyer.
That doesn't matter anymore. Now the moment's passed.
I can look
details.
At
Candice, I'm a details-oriented person.
I'm not. The only thing I'm withholding is the salad. But I'll tell you guys after.
Oh, now, yeah.
And now I just couldn't remember the name of the place. But here it is.
Tender Greens.
No, I mean, there's like not that many salad places.
Whole Foods Salad Bar.
Crow's Nest.
Fresh Choice. Oh, Crow's Nest.
Yeah. You know about that place?
Yeah.
That's where it was. And they have a decent like setup. Like the seating in the restaurant is like stadium seating.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And they have a stage, and they have like they close the curtain, so it looks like it's kind of like a club.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was dope. Anyway.
Don't eat Fresh Choice, by the way. I'm just gonna go out and go on that limb.
What's it
and
called?
kill Fresh Choice. It's like one of those buffet joints that like pretends like it's healthy because the whole first you go through a giant salad bar first.
Yeah.
And then you get to all the just piles of bread that exist, like the pizza and breadsticks and pasta and whatever. But yeah, Fresh Choice, and you're like, wow, why is all the lettuce brown? That's weird.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. It's this new kind of hybrid lettuce.
We're trying to get it
We
to
have
match
aged
the bread.
iceberg.
Yeah.
So that's been the past 3 days for me, and it's still not over. It's like getting better, but it's not over.
Proud of you, girl.
So anyway, thank you. That was my struggle, is mud butt.
All right. Eat some rice.
I did. That's the only thing
Is that
I had.
the thing?
Yeah, that rice gets you constipated. It soaks up a lot of the.
And it's the
water
only
and
thing that
stuff.
I actually could stomach like that night of the performance, because they paid for our dinner and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, what do you want from the menu? It's on us. We'll take care of it. And I was like, I'll take this. But everything came with like a side of rice and some green beans. And I was like, the rice and the green beans is what I want right now.
Right.
And also for people that have stomach issues, I just learned this too. And it did help me if you put bitters in soda water, soda water, bitters, and like a lime wedge. Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's for when you have a stomachache.
Yeah.
True alcoholics know that one.
Ginger ale, bro.
That's you then.
Yeah.
You've been not calling yourself an alcoholic this whole time. I've been calling you one, and you were like, no, I'm not.
I mean, I'm not an alcoholic. I just have a lot of bartender friends, so I know these.
Says alcoholics.
Yeah.
I don't know any bartenders.
Are you a San Diego guy?
I'm from there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because there's no better experience if you like to drink hard than going out in PB with Billy Bonnell.
Oh, yeah.
You will forget who you are.
I hate PB so much.
PB's terrible unless you're with Billy, and then it's a ton of fun because he knows
can't.
everybody.
No, I still can't. It just reminds me of sad people who it's like adults that are still in college, because
that is
college,
what it is.
right? And I hate that, because that's where the condo is for the Comedy Store in La Jolla.
Don't live there.
No, I know, but even when I go there, I'm like, this just makes me sad. Like, grow up. I just feel sad when I go there, and I don't like it.
Why don't you take
Why are you shaking your head?
This whole thing's about the struggles of adulthood. Why not take a little vacation next time you're down there and be like, I'm gonna be in my 20s for a weekend.
I could, but just not in that area. Like where your show is downtown. Like, that's fine. I'll get drunk there or hang out there. There's not a sadness that's there. I'm telling you, it's a palpable sadness I feel in PB.
I like PB.
Of course
I
you
like
do.
PB. I like all the little beach towns. Get drunk and then hear the ocean.
There's bird scooters everywhere. You can get drunk in bird scooter.
Oh, there's lots of ocean everywhere outside
Get
of
crapped
PB.
on by a seagull that's also mad.
No, yuck, gross.
Yeah.
I don't like
awesome.
being
Get
around.
high
I
and
don't
watch
like hanging around
late-night fist fights?
adult children. Stunted
Billy
emotionally
has
people.
a lot of bartender friends in PB. All of my bartender friends are downtown. So
Okay.
if you want to black out downtown,
All
hang
right.
out with me.
Yeah, the last time I went out with Billy and PB, I ended up calling Shesky, who was on the last episode.
Yeah.
I ended up calling him. Well, no, the next day on the drive home, I call him and be like, hey, man, let's talk about some of this, some stuff. He's like, oh, like all the stuff we talked about last night? I blacked out and made like a business phone call and apparently made like really good points about like our next 6-month plan.
You had no idea.
No clue. No clue what happened.
At least you're being productive while you're blacked out, right?
Yeah, that was the comment people were giving me was like, you are the most pleasant blackout I've ever seen in my life. And that's the only one I've had in the last like 7 years. And it was just, again, PB.
You were
really
sending
bad.
emails.
Oh, yeah.
He's like passed out.
I balanced my
siphon.
checkbook.
I told you were the
I got
responsible
vaccinations.
one. Mel, what's your struggle?
Mine is very quick. It's alcohol related. We had a show last night or 2 nights ago in Paso Robles, which is wine country.
Mm-hmm.
And they had awesome beer.
You were not far from me.
Yeah, very close. All weekend we were in that same
Did
sort of
you
area.
fly there?
We flew to San Francisco and then drove. Reading, Paso Robles, Fresno, and one other place.
You don't even remember the place, the city?
Santa Rosa.
Oh, okay.
But I drank beer before my show, during my show, and after my show. And then we went back to the hotel and we didn't have beer, but they gave us some wine.
Ooh.
And so I made the mistake
You
of
mixed
having
beer and wine?
Oh, yeah.
Ew, Mel.
2 glasses. That's it. No,
That's
it was
enough.
actually, that's a
That's
lie.
plenty.
Don't do
One
that.
glass of red wine after drinking beer.
Ew.
And then like all day yesterday, I'm in the Sprinter van, like ready to fucking chuck, just bad.
Yeah, that curdles.
Yeah, it was not. And
That's
so I
disgusting.
threw up yesterday for the first time in like years. And
Congrats, man. Proud of you.
that feeling of hugging the toilet
Ew.
is like, it humbles you.
Of course it does, but it also grosses me out. You don't really hug the toilet, do you?
I mean,
Anyone touching toilets grosses me out.
It
If
was
you
not
have like to like lean on your body, like lean your body on the toilet.
it was not a public toilet, but my face was like in the toilet.
Toilets are nasty.
And
Why are
here's-
you looking at me like that?
Vomit. When you
I don't vomit regularly, and when I do, I don't touch the toilet. I'm like this. My hands are up, and I'm like,
Candice has her hands up in a don't shoot
yeah.
position.
That's some
and-
amateur drinking.
But the thing I realized is like everybody I was posting on social media about like, oh, I'm so hungover. And it was my fault. Like I already knew what the problem was. And then a bunch of people in the comments, liquor before beer, you're in the clear, beer before liquor.
Yeah,
never
how do
been
you not
sicker.
know this?
And I'm like, dude, there's no fucking rhyme for
and
wine.
beer. Yeah.
But you should still like. I don't drink like you do, and I know that was a bad choice.
I was already drunk, so
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, I guess that.
but that's my struggle.
That's why the number one mistake you can make is a night of drinking and someone's like, "Hey, let's smoke a blunt into this." You're like,
right.
"Oh no! You can never go booze."
That's what I didn't know.
And then weed. You'll
That's what
spin every
I
time.
didn't know. My sister, they just had a girls' trip in D.C. that I was unable to attend, unfortunately.
Sure.
But it was my sister and some friends and like my cousin. I think both my cousins were there. But anyway, my sister vomited, and another friend, they did an edible after they had been drinking.
Terrible
And I
idea.
didn't know that. So you
Edible
have to do the
first.
edible first.
Yeah,
Edible
always. If you're weed should always come before booze. If you're gonna do both.
Why don't they have a rhyme for that one?
I don't know.
We got to come up with these rhymes, you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Forget comedy, bro.
we need to help the partying community with some rhymes.
Oh, really quickly, Rich, before we get to your struggle, I just want to say, because we had Rob Christensen on an episode talking about ketamine not that long ago, and he said that you
Unsurprising.
can't, right, and he said that you can't die from it, you can't OD on it. And I had someone email me that listens to the podcast, and they said that's actually not true. You can. So I wanted to let our listeners know, and I will also. I'm not going to tell Rob. I'll let our listeners know. I'll let
Regulate
him.
your ketamine use. Make
Yeah.
sure you take an appropriate amount.
Right. Don't listen to Rob's advice on drugs. Just use it carefully if you are using ketamine.
Well, you shouldn't listen to a guy who kind of talks like this about what drugs are. Which one's okay, is it not? I'm not a. You don't think I'm a doctor?
way
or
more.
whatever?
You sound way more like what is it? Italian?
Yeah, that's a
He's
spot on.
and less wigger. We need more wigger in there.
Yeah, I
you
once-
need a little bit more
I once
bass in
saw
your
him.
voice.
I once saw him on the Comedy Store stage. He was the blackest guy within 10 miles.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete
It
sense.
might have been accurate that night, to be honest. This was still the Tommy era. So
Oh yeah, that was black to Tommy. He's the black. This is the blackest we go, as Rob Christensen.
Yeah.
Maybe Candice. Maybe Candice.
maybe.
Maybe. All right, let's get into your struggle, Rich. What are you dealing with?
Oh man, lack of sleep.
I
None
know
right now.
You're
'cause
also a new father.
yeah, brand new.
Brand new
got a
dad.
month-old baby.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so that's a lot. Although Mrs. Slaton is picking up the slack way more than I am. 'Cause,
I mean, that's what we do.
yeah. No, she's hardcore. No, we're trying to figure out this religion thing now because My Mrs. Slaton works in the Jewish community. You guys remember I'm a Jew? I don't know if
From 10 minutes ago when we were.
yeah, in case you guys forgot by now. In case my blonde-haired, blue-eyedness threw you off and you were like just defaulted to Presbyterian or whatever.
He also, kippahs? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, that's
He
what we
bought
call
kippahs
them.
for all of my listeners.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll
I
be
got 'em
sending
all.
those in the mail. If you could all email me your addresses, you'll get those.
Yeah, they all say
The
struggle,
on them.
Yeah,
And crime.
it's cross-promotional.
It's just merch kippahs.
No, we're trying to figure it out because it's we're both involved, but now it's very different when you have kids. You got to figure out like to what level do you
How Jewish you want to make him?
how Jewish you want to make them, but also like what's the process?
On a scale from
Yeah.
1 to Jerry Lewis. I don't even know if he's
No,
Jewish.
we're not getting Jerry Lewis level, please. And by the way, the 10 is Woody Allen.
My bad.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Larry David.
Oh yeah, he's
You mean
pretty
modern Woody Allen?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, right.
Woody Allen part 2?
Right, less child molesting Woody Allen. Yes.
Depending on what you there's a whole new
Oh no,
thing with
honestly,
the- with
I don't
the-
know
with
how.
the-
I was just joking. I don't know how
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel about him.
No, I have no idea either. I've never seen Annie Hall. So there you go. I just, I was like, I don't want to start to love him and then find out that I can't.
And take it-
So
right.
just keeping it off the board.
You know, like us and R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Like black people and R. Kelly.
Look, I at one point had all of Trapped in the Closet parts 1 through 5 pretty well memorized. So you kidding me with that like weird drop sound that happened like
No,
every
it was
6th, 17th
it was
beat?
amazing.
Yeah.
Hilariously amazing.
Then there was a midget. You're like, wow, this shit went off the
Okay,
rails
now-
by like number 7.
You're being ridiculous.
I think I had the DVD of parts 1 through 15 at one point.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh no, he made a movie out of that thing. That was an opus.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I remember. I was there for it.
And then
I've never
what was it?
seen
What was
or
that song
heard
there?
any
Sex
of
in the
it.
Kitchen.
Are you serious? He had like a whole. It was
I'm
a
familiar
thing.
with what it is.
7 o'clock in the
I
morning.
did not
the
even.
rain-
You didn't
The
watch.
sun
You weren't
waking-
curious at all.
Nope.
One of the
Why?
greatest
Because of his
narrative-
past, or just
No,
because you just weren't
I'm
interested?
not like a huge R. Kelly person.
How
I like
dare
Well,
you.
no, I know you don't have to be though.
songs.
I mean, it was so weird.
He was like the Rush of R&B, where you're like, wow, this is a really interesting concept storytelling album. And some people are really into him.
Up in the closet.
I was up in the closet.
So you're trying to decide how Jewish you want to make your
Yeah,
son.
like, so we snipped it, of course, because I'm not going to send my kid out there with like
I heard the story
Yeah, no, it's-
from
oh,
Ed.
Oh, from Ed?
Uh huh.
Well, he
Can
didn't
you
even,
tell what you did?
Well, he didn't even, yeah, I can, so.
I didn't know that this was a thing, but please, this was.
Well, I mean, I don't know what story he told you.
He
was
said
it like
that it
the,
was
like
like
the
a-
fake one versus
Yes.
the real one? Yeah.
Listen to this. This is
So,
great.
so baby boy Slayton was born with, like, I guess a partial foreskin.
What does that mean?
Like, there are sometimes, how some people are born with, like, I don't know, a cleft lip or
Yeah.
whatever. He
He
was
had cleft dick.
kind of.
Oh my god,
Well, okay. Yeah, cleft dick.
that's fun.
No, the dick is fine. The dick was fine. The foreskin was just like,
It was just not covering.
that's what they called a hooded foreskin, where it was
I think
like,
I've heard that before. I just never know what it looked
it was
like.
It was like a half dome rather than a full dome or
Well, it's not
whatever.
get cut anyway, so what difference does it make?
So, well, because it's different, like getting it right is a little more challenging. It's a long. You have to like be a little
so you
more
have to
careful.
get really experienced.
Well, our Moyle was a physician anyway. The Moyle is the Jew guy who cuts it, by the way.
I learned that from Seinfeld.
Yeah, there you go. So no, ours was an experienced pediatric urologist anyway, who on the side, his side gig is cutting baby dicks. That's what he does.
He's a DJ.
His hustle, and it's a good hustle too.
Moyle
He was
DJ.
not inexpensive.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you get to pay per inch, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean we're about $1,000 deep now. So
Long dick.
You got that family Slaton dick.
well, at first, like when they first saw it in the hospital, they were worried because like you couldn't really tell with the foreskin stuff. Apparently, sometimes the hole is in the wrong place. Like sometimes the hole is like on the shaft or in like
Right.
weird places.
Right.
So
So when they see that, they're like, uh-oh.
maybe
okay.
there's a goofy
Right.
hole.
Right.
Right? So we had to send. At 1 day old, my kid sent his first dick pics. We were sending pictures of it to like to doctors and stuff, being like, "Hey, what do you think?" Solicited dick pics, please.
That is different.
He is very 2018, but yeah, no, he's a man of the modern era. God, he's in a I can't believe it. He's like less than a month old. I'm already putting my boy on blast, but is what it
man.
is. Is what it is. Look,
You're a
but
comic man.
but it came out fine in the end. But so because of that, like there had to be a longer circumcision itself. So we actually did the real circumcision in my bedroom, like on my bed with like just myself, the Moyle, and my wife.
before the
Before like
guests
before
come.
the guests were all in the living room, And so we went and did that real quick. Like, it took a few minutes to make sure because, dude, you don't want to fuck that up.
No.
That's the one thing where you're like, this needs to come out perfect. We're already trying to make sure it looks good. We don't want to like screw that up.
Right.
So
it's a lot of pressure on this Moyle.
Oh yeah, but no, he's gone to medical school. We didn't just get some guy who was like, well, I have a cigar cutter. Let's go for it. He didn't show up with an X-Acto knife and a hope. He showed up with experience and training.
And you set up your room like a Dexter kill room, I imagine.
No, so the way they do it is they have this velvet covered board.
Okay.
This is actually kind of Dextery. So what they do is it has straps for the baby's legs and arms. Like you flayed you Game of Thrones flayed man, pin them down to the thing. But instead of doing that, to keep him more calm, I held my son's arms. Well, so I was right in the game. My wife couldn't watch.
I don't think I could watch that.
Well, I hadn't planned on being front and center. I hadn't planned on being the nurse to aid my son's circumcision. But when your boy needs you, your boy needs you. This was a dad shit.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then when we went out and did it in front of the whole community with all the people, the family and friends gathered around.
Yeah.
It was kind of a post dress rehearsal. It was so they went through the motions and made it look like it was happening,
but it was already taken care of.
It was already done
for sure. But if it hadn't been a partial foreskin, you would have done the whole thing in front of people. Okay.
Because that's I've been to I've been to a few different brisses. In my life.
It's bri.
Yeah,
is the plural.
Well, Hebrew we brit milot, I think. So
that's
brit milah is the actual full. So interesting thing about hardcore Judaism, there are certain T's that the Eastern European or the European Ashkenazi Jews pronounce certain T's as S's. So the technical Hebrew is Brit Milah.
Okay.
The covenant, the covenant. But that Ashkenazi tradition changes Brit to Bris.
Oh, okay.
So
I just learned.
It's Shabbos is actually Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it's again the European Jews Shabbos.
Nice. Okay. So also you gave him something, right, to numb.
Oh no! You soak a little piece of cotton in
a
mixture of codeine.
Whiskey dick.
No,
it's the real whiskey dick. Sorry.
It's a thing. You soak it in something. It's like 3 parts sugar water, 1 part wine, or something like that.
And then just put a cotton swab.
Yeah, a cotton swab in it, and then let them suck on it while they're.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you put some Ambisol on his little wee wee.
No, although ever since then. We're now through this phase, but for the next week or two afterwards, I had to, every time I diapered him, I had to put Vaseline on it. I had to lube up his dick every single time. So that
Vaseline's the only lube I trust.
So it wouldn't get stuck to the diaper and get all painful and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, look at him. He's a soldier. Did he cry that much?
Nah, now he's all over the place with the crying. He's going through that phase where he's like, oh, you want to sleep? Screw you.
Screw you.
But no. So he was a little soldier about it.
So how do you decide how Jewish you're going to make your
what
kid?
is there?
Well, that's the weird question, right? Because, you want to acknowledge that religion is I don't care where you fall, whether you're completely atheist or you're all the way devout. I fall somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't say I'm agnostic, but I fall somewhere in the middle where there's a lot of questions to be asked.
Right.
And there's a question where how much do you indoctrinate a kid because there are lessons they can learn? And is there value in giving them some of that and then letting them discover some things for themselves? Right? So same thing with raising a kid where you don't want to teach your kid, hey, adults don't know what they're actually everyone's full of shit.
Yeah.
Then you have a weird 8-year-old who can't function properly. Right?
Oh, yeah, if you say it like that. To an 8-year-old. Yeah.
But you have to let kids confused. You have to let kids discover some things for themselves from a developmental process.
Right.
So they're not all fucked up from the beginning.
Right.
Right? So it's the same thing with religion stuff. It's a question trying to figure out how much do we say this is what it is versus how much do we present a more open-ended framework.
Here are your options.
Well, no, he's a Jew. There's no other people will decide that for him. That's a that happens in history a lot. Sometimes people will be like, no, you're a Jew, so haha.
Yeah.
That's what he is, and it's going to be a big part of his life as long as for myself and my wife's perspective. But also, it's how do you answer questions when you're teaching Bible stories early on, right? At what point do you start shifting from these are the stories in the Bible that was written by God or whatever, and what point do you start going, these are allegories that you can then take life lessons from? How do you integrate that? So we're trying to figure that out because my whole Jewish life and journey was weird as shit.
Why?
So my parents were intermarried. My mom was raised Episcopalian, my dad Jewish. And my mom didn't convert until I was like 10 or 12 or so, somewhere in there.
Was she willing to do, or was there like pressure from your dad?
None,
or like she
none
just
from my dad. It was all on her, all totally her own journey. So, and like, she wasn't really that into her stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we had a Christmas tree in the house as a kid. But then in 4th grade, my parents pulled me out of public school because I was bad at it.
Okay.
And they sent me to a private Jewish day school because there was a smaller, more controlled learning environment. But it was an interdenominational Jewish school, meaning that I was there simple way to break this down, there are 3 general branches of Judaism that umbrella the overall ideas. There's Reform, which is the sort of liberal version of Judaism, which is what I'm a part of. There's Conservative, which is what you mostly end up seeing in TV and movies as a conservative version of Judaism.
Okay.
Most agents are conservative Jews rather than Reform Jews, if you want to put it in that context.
Okay.
And then there's Orthodox, which covers everything from a guy who you see wear a yarmulke all the time to the black hats who dress like
And
it's
the payas.
1850.
Right.
Rocking the payas, which is payot is the proper Hebrew. Payas is the Ashkenazi version of it.
Peyote. Oh,
Yeah.
isn't there a drug? Is that
Yeah.
peyote?
Yeah.
Is it peyote?
I think there's an E, peyote with an accent and everything at the end of that shit.
Guys, I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I know.
I'm the Jewish ambassador / I correct all of Rob Christensen's drug mistakes. No, so my school though was a mixture of there were Reform kids, conservative kids, and Orthodox kids all together. So the version of Judaism that I got was very fractured and very weird. And so my form of middle school rebellion against my parents was becoming more religiously observant, was becoming essentially Orthodox for a time. Like my friends were all Orthodox. I'd spend the night at their house on Friday night, and we'd walk to synagogue on Saturday morning. So by 7th grade, I was wearing a kippah all the time. I at the time thought I wanted to go to yeshiva, which is like instead of high school, you go to sort of like religious rabbi in training type school.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, I was really
And
hardcore
you didn't
about
do
it.
that.
No. I'm here now.
Oh. I mean, you could have done it and then been like, what did I do?
I could have done the Ari route, but no, my parents were very against that.
Ari did that?
Ari Shafir?
He did that?
Well, Ari was raised, like, his parents were, I think they were Baal Tshuva, which means, like, his dad became more religious, like, went from, like, very liberal Jew to super hardcore later in life.
Oh.
And I don't know if they're Baal Tshuva or not, which is a whole different thing. And then so Ari was, as a kid, he was like very liberal Jew. And then suddenly their family went full Orthodox. And so he ended up going to yeshiva for a while. And then I think
they made him do that?
I mean, like made / you don't know not to.
Right.
You know? Again, I wouldn't want to speak totally to his experience.
Of course, yeah.
But that's a big thing that he has actually an hour he's touring right now called Jew that talks about like the whole thing he went through with it.
Oh, cool. Uh-huh.
We both went through like very weird experiences with it. So I went to a Jewish day school, and so that like there was a Jewish education there, but I became so hardcore that I was going to an Orthodox synagogue in the morning before school.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, to daven, to do morning prayers, and then go from there to school where there was prayers again.
That would have been enough for me to be like, all right, I'm quitting being a Jew. Getting up before school.
Yeah, and it's one of the few times
School was already early.
Yeah, but I was like 13.
Still,
I didn't start like having trouble with it until like high school.
It's never been easy to wake up. Even when you were a kid, you don't want to wake up.
You know, it wasn't for me. I've lived a comics schedule, like go to sleep at 4, wake up at 11:30 for the last decade, or for the last like 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And then since the new job and the kid, I now like 6:15, like 7 in the morning. I'm like, oh, I have to sleep in a little bit when it's 7 in the morning now. It's crazy.
And this is still going to bed at 4 in the morning?
No. Now I'm going to sleep at like 10 in the evening. I am.
Ugh.
Well, because I have like this, I have to be on.
No.
I have to be.
How did you even make your body start doing that though?
Like a few weeks before I started getting up, like an hour
you started
earlier.
roofing yourself
for 3 days.
around 9:30.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, it's just hardcore drinking and then hoping the next day you can get through it. So, I'm on the Mal change plan. Well, I mean, look, the new gig it's a fun job and it's good money. So it's like at some point you're like, oh, I will change my life for this.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to like get your body on a schedule if you just tell yourself you have to do it.
Well, also, when you're exhausted, you fall asleep
Your
early.
body will just conk out. When you get up at 6:30, your body will naturally start to shut down.
Yeah.
At like 10.
Yeah. Because for a while I was doing like I would wake up because I was trying to take my fitness seriously. So I was like,
What happened to that?
How dare you body shame this severe alcoholic over here? Why would you ever do that?
He
He has a crippling problem that you just want to hurt him for.
Body shaming an alcoholic. I know he was in Australia last month, and you were working out regularly.
Yeah.
And then what happened? You fell off already?
No, I'm still doing. I'm saying before, like years ago.
Oh,
I was like, I need to like. My problem is I only work out if I know I'm going to like a tropical place where I'm gonna have my shirt off.
where I'm gonna have to show my body.
It's all vanity is the reason why I work out.
Of course.
So for a while there, like 3 months, I was like, okay, I'm working out. I'm gonna hike running every day at like 5:30 a.m. before all the fucking cool, good-looking people get there. And so I just started, and then every day 5:30 I was there doing laps, and then I would leave by 6:30, and that's how I would start my day. And everybody was like, how can you do that? And it's like, you just tell yourself you're going to do it, and then you fucking do it.
Yeah, but
I'll stay up until midnight and still hike at 5:30.
Yeah, midnight's not too bad.
I can't
Midnight's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. But sometimes you out late for networking purposes in this industry.
I'll be in bed by 10 tonight. That's what'll be happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's Yom Kippur, so I gotta go do some services and stuff.
So that's on Wednesday, yeah.
Well, it starts tonight.
Okay.
Because all Jewish holidays start the night before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like Friday night for Shabbos, and then through Saturday ends the evening after that. So tonight's the Kol Nidre service, which is a really nice. Actually.
I love Jewish holidays because traffic is mwah.
In this town?
Yes, it's oh my god!
I've never got to experience that.
Oh my! You can tell, but it's September, isn't it? I'm just why is the 405?
Nothing's worse as a kid when September comes around and you realize that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are both on weekends, and you're like, I don't even get to skip school. I just ruin my weekends.
It's not even fair.
Every once in a while it just screws you because the Jewish calendar is on a lunar schedule too.
Yeah,
so it's not even predictable like that.
Yeah.
It just gets you. I didn't realize that the high holidays were like your version of Christmas and New Year's in LA.
Yeah.
Where you're like, wow, this is how the city should be all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. So what would let's say your son's older now and he's starting to let's say he's like a teenager and he's making life choices for himself. What would be a disappointing level of Jewishness for you?
None,
really?
Like if he's not like.
If he was Chefsky.
Yeah, that would be disappointing to me. First of all, I am consistently disappointed in one of my best friends in the world. No, that would be because like Chefsky is like he's like I'm Jewish, but there is no religious or cultural involvement really.
Right. Oh, at all? He doesn't practice anything.
No. It's also not his style. Like if he did, it'd be shocking to me.
Okay.
It's just not his style at all. Look, like anything, a lot of people get down on religion a lot, and like anything, religion's a tool. Right? Like, so Rogan had a bit about weed, about some guy who was like, my brother, weed ruined his life. And he was like,
weed ruined his life?
Yeah, Joe had a story about some other guy being like, what about weed? Like, weed ruined my brother's life. And the bit goes, well, yeah, that's because your brother's a fucking moron. If it wasn't weed, it would have been cheeseburgers.
Right, it would have been something else.
So it's the same thing with a religion. Like, religion is a tool, like a hammer, you could, like, again, it's the same Rogan bit where he was like, a hammer, you can use it to hammer in a nail or to hit yourself in the foot.
Right.
Or whatever it is. And same thing with religion.
It's the user that has the responsibility.
So it's like, how hardcore do you get into it? How much, like, in the version of Judaism, now I'm going to say some things here. Some of the things I'm going to talk about are universal for Judaism, and some are for specifically my kind of Judaism.
Okay.
Reform Judaism. But we don't proselytize. We're not trying to convert anybody.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think you're going to hell if you're not Jewish because we don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there's not like, and our concept of afterlife type shit is based more on if you're a good person or not, and less on whether or not you subscribe to our version of it.
Right.
When you hear people talk about how like the insular Jews are shitty to non-Jews, that's because they're insular weirdos who are shitty to me too.
Right.
Because I'm not the right kind of Jew.
Okay, you're not their kind.
Yeah, I'm not their kind of Jew, so I'm lesser for some reason.
Right.
Those are just shitty people who exist in anything.
But Chefsky is definitely a lesser kind of Jew.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Just to make sure we're on the same page. Right.
Yeah. Oh, without question. I wouldn't even count him in a minion. You need 10 Jews to make a proper prayer service.
Well, so do you think Jewish people like John Shefsky should even be allowed to say they're Jewish if they don't practice?
No. I mean, because here's the thing: is Judaism isn't just a religion; it's an ethnicity. It's a culture. There's a lot of things to it. And look, like I've said before, you don't always get to decide if you're Jewish or not.
Right.
Like, other people will decide that for you. So even if you're like, I'm not Jewish, they're like, yeah, you are.
Right.
Because your parents were. Because people, unlike Catholicism or Episcopalian or whatever, all these different other, especially Christian religions, there's no.
You're not born into it. Or
even if you are born in those religions, like if you suddenly say you're not, they're like, oh, you're not. It's not ingrained as part of your DNA.
Right. It's not like a race.
Jews have Mrs. Slaton and I had to get genetic tested to make sure that there were certain Jew diseases that we weren't.
What are some Jew diseases?
Tay-Sachs is the big one.
Tay-Sachs. What's that about?
I actually don't know what it does, but it sucks.
It sounds like it's Jewish people's sickle cell.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. 100%.
Okay.
So there's that. There's maple syrup urine is another name for.
That just sounds like diabetes.
Yeah, kind of. It's like a weird processing thing.
Actually, it sounds like $1 million idea.
Yeah, right. Sounds like a business opportunity.
Ew. Maple syrup.
I pee maple syrup, so we're rich
now. We're bottling your pee. That just sounds like you have a bunch of sugar in your system.
I don't even know. I don't even know what half these things are. Tay-Sachs is the big one.
Yeah.
But no, like it's a genetic. There's you can trace stuff back.
And you can die from Tay-Sachs.
In severity, yeah. So there's some real shit. I don't know. I mean, for me, I would love him to have a relationship with it in some way and not just not totally reject it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it's going to be his choice. It's going to be up to him.
Yeah.
And so what I hope is I can create an environment where he finds a way to engage with it that's meaningful for him and that is useful for him and that isn't
intrusive.
And more importantly, that isn't a drag or negative. Like for me, I've always felt that I've had the room to explore my Judaism, especially going back to like junior high. As I was getting more and more Orthodox, suddenly, so this is where it gets really strange for me. My dad was the president of the Federation in Sacramento, the Jewish Federation.
Oh.
My dad was kind of like an important figure in the Jewish community, president of our synagogue.
Wow.
And word got out at one point.
Is he like the Al Sharpton of Jewish people?
No, that's a guy. That's Abe Foxman, the head of the AUDL, or sorry, of the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, who's a great guy, by the way. But no, if you're gonna make that comparison, shout out Abe. He even has like as Jewy of a name as Al Sharpton has as black of a name.
Hilarious.
You know?
Al Sharpton.
And Abe Foxman. Yeah.
But I don't want to make that comparison because Al Sharpton regularly embarrasses us.
Abe Foxman we're not typically embarrassed by him.
There you go. He can probably spell respect too, which Al Sharpton misspelled. He spelled it with he said RESPICT.
Fine. You know what? Do you, man?
You know what? It's, phonetically, that's how he says it.
Respect?
Respect.
You better put some respect on it.
Respect on my name.
Anyway, continue.
Well,
your dad.
My parents were also big fundraisers in the Jewish community in Sacramento. They had a lot. They pulled weight to a certain degree, and word got out at one point that my father's son was shopping around synagogues. I was showing up at services at my own synagogue, but also at the conservative, the Orthodox, and the Chabadnik, like the ultra-Orthodox. Well, no, people saw it as an opportunity because they were like, if they can be the one who gets me to choose them, do I bring my family with me and then bring that fundraising power and stuff like that they do? So
you totally understand LeBron James.
Yes.
This is like, free agent. You're kidding.
Yeah, I'm taking my talents to Mosaic Law.
Yes.
That's what they all wanted to hear.
Which hat is he going to put on? Which yarmulke? He had three yarmulkes out there.
I have a black hat, just a regular black kippah, and like a pinwheel one over here.
He's taking his talents. He's taking his prayers over here.
All of a sudden, Rich starts getting an onslaught of hate mail from Cleveland. Why?
People start burning my prayer shawls.
That's funny. So your dad had to have a conversation with you?
Well, no. Here's what happened is, so my mom, because she didn't convert until I was older, technically, according to the more conservative, the more right-wing version of Judaism, I wasn't Jewish. because it's matrilineal descent. It's an old biblical thing that goes basically like this. You know who the mom is, you don't actually know who the daddy is.
That is true.
So matrilineal descent was the
Back
rule.
then they didn't know until they got DNA tested.
Yeah. No, you hoped.
Right.
You're like, well, his eyebrows look kind of funky like mine, so. All right. So
he's got that partial foreskin like his daddy.
I had a perfect foreskin. Thank you very much. I was circumcised in a synagogue like a gentleman.
You're comparing foreskins.
That's crazy.
Well, rabbis at these other synagogues, 3 other synagogues, started pulling me aside and talking to me about the conversion process, because they were each hoping that I would be officially Jewish and convert through their synagogue, and then of course bring the whole family.
Right.
I became the center. So Sacramento is the oldest Jewish community in the West Coast. Like the first synagogue west of the Mississippi was in Sacramento.
Oh wow.
It's a very old Jewish community and a very fractured Jewish community. So for many years, and so I was caught at the center of what was at the time a long-standing kind of like fractured rivalry, and I found myself being the sort of the focus of competition between these different rabbis and synagogues.
Oh wow.
To the point where like my rabbi was calling other rabbis, telling them to back off and leave me alone because it was disrupting my family's life.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it got real weird. It got really, really strange. And then one day I walked.
Did you feel like, was your ego getting big at this point?
No, I didn't understand what was going on until a little bit later on. Like I wasn't really sure. It was strange to me that I was like, oh, this is wonderful. I thought it was great that so many rabbis wanted to talk to me about what my experience and journey would be. I didn't realize what it was now, which was kind of looking down their nose at me for not being properly Jewish in their eyes.
Yeah.
And at this stage in my life, I'm like, no, I don't care if you think I'm Jewish. Do I think I'm Jewish? And does whatever relationship I have with God feel I'm Jewish?
Right.
That's none of your business.
It's not it, right.
Right. Where it all came to a head was one day I walked into that every morning shul I would go to, the Orthodox synagogue. And I walk in, and my friend Josh and I, who would go to synagogue together, we walk in, and we see, as soon as we walk in, that all the guys are staring at the door. And when they see it's myself and Josh walk in, I see them all kind of go, and their shoulders drop. And I counted around the room real quick and realized that I would have been the 10th man. And in Jewish tradition, you need, for a prayer service, you need 10 men to make a minyan, to make an official prayer service. And I would have been the 10th, and someone who didn't know that I was technically not Jewish had told them, oh, we have 2 more coming in. And when they saw me come in, the whole room was disappointed because it was the pretender who was in the room, who I realized at that point they'd all been like tolerating and placating so that I would convert. And then that rabbi sat me down and had like a real serious, like, it's time to convert conversation. And that's when the whole thing blew up. My parents like forbade me from going to some of these different synagogues. It became like an actual, like,
wow.
It became an actual thing.
I feel like this could be a movie.
I don't know who would watch that. And the whole thing's on sepia.
You know who would watch it. Only Jewish people.
It's all the violin is the only score to the whole damn thing.
I think you have it pretty dialed in, though. If you like raise your son sort of down the middle and then let him decide when it's time, then
yeah.
So he has a healthy respect for it, because I think people that are raised up with a certain amount of religion end up as like good people.
Yeah.
And then
there's a certain amount where it turns real bad real quick.
You can go overboard, and those people
that's usually
are
the ones that are extreme, right?
Yeah,
it's always the extremists that end up with a really skewed perspective of
I was
how
raised
religion
with
should
barely any.
play.
My mom is Catholic, and so we would go to church for like on the holidays, and that was it. And so now I'm just sort of like, I believe, but I don't practice anything. So I'll go to anyone's church and just listen to the message, because I feel like all the messages are sort of the same. Be a good person, be nice to everybody.
Right.
Don't be a piece of shit. And whenever I leave any church service, I feel good. Like, yeah, we should all not.
Do you guys think that religion, that if you didn't have religion as any part of your childhood, that you would not be as good of a person? Because I think about that, because we say that it does, like the general, you've got the 10 commandments in Christianity. It's like, these are the rules that you're supposed to abide by so that you keep yourself in check. But I'm like, even if I didn't have that, I think I kind of would. I feel like I've just always would have been a good person. And maybe it's also because I was raised by 2 good people.
Right.
So I don't think I necessarily needed religion to teach me what not what to do and what not to do.
You know, I don't know if I've ever thought of religion as a what to do and what not to do type of thing. That's how I've always approached it more for it's a self-management tool. So, for example, Yom Kippur, right, which is tonight's the Kol Nidre service. On Yom Kippur each year, you go in and you with the community go through all the ways in which you could have wronged yourself or someone else. And you really sit and take stock of that. And people go like, well, you don't need religion to do that. I'm like, cool. When's the last time you did? When's the last time you really sat down and took stock of how you treated yourself and others?
Right.
And did it in a way that you couldn't escape from it.
Yeah.
You couldn't turn it off. And so for me, it's not so much about.
And you admit these things to the other people there?
No, we don't go out there and declare. But like, there's a whole. So one of the prayers is a big list of reading ways, and we all read them together. Like, oh,
you should do a podcast about while you're doing.
Yeah.
In the midst of it, just sit a mic in front of everybody while you confess.
About confess your sins.
Yes.
I mean, that'd be if you could do something with like with people's like face, like the way they do like someone tests like on a TV show, like we're protecting their voice and their face. So they can't. I mean, that'd be
and just
super
have a
fun.
podcast called Sinner.
Yep. That'd be a blast. But no, so for this service, like you go with the community, you read through this list of ways that you could have transgressed, and it's not saying don't do this, do this, because there's an aspect of forgiveness, but part of the rule is you can't just go and go like, hey God, I admit this, and God goes, cool. You have to actively try to do better, to make right with the person that you did wrong, make right with yourself, and then once you've done that sort of thing,
So it's like AA.
I mean, it is. It's like spiritual AA in a certain way. But there's all these different things. Like there's a holiday called Tu B'Shvat, which is all about respecting the environment and trees and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, nice.
But so it's a series of. Some people think of it as a series of rules: do this or don't do that. For me, it's a series of methodologies you can use to check and guide yourself.
Yeah.
And just kind of like keep maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe I do it without religion, but I know that I'm more conscious of it because of that.
Yeah.
I find that positive.
It's a good framework to start from.
Yes.
Like the stories,
Right.
you know, I think the message in each story is like a good framework to like teach little kids
Yeah.
around stories. You know?
Yeah, I mean, some of the stories are pretty fucked up.
Right.
Because I like when I get bored, the services I go to. So also with having that more that background and dipping my toe into the pool of orthodoxy, I became used to that style of. It's almost like the difference between like, what's the best way to put it? Is the difference between a high level mathematician and a kid who's learning how to add and subtract. Like the liberal version of Judaism is very much like prayers in English and songs on the guitar, and whereas I'm used to like a hardcore. We're gonna get through 78 pages in 1 hour because that's how hard we crush this shit.
There's variables here,
so there's downtime for me in synagogue a lot, and so that's when I'll actually get the Torah out and I'll like start reading because I'm just bored because I'm like, okay, I have this song that the chorus has gone on 4 times now.
Yeah.
Please let me get to it. And some of these stories are pretty fucked up. But a lot of Judaism, a lot of Jewish religious text isn't so much based. I mean, of course, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses are a central part of it. But a lot of our Jewish religious texts are based on essentially our version of Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato, of a bunch of rabbis throughout history debating with each other through time on nuances of ethics and Jewish law.
Oh, wow.
And so that's a really fascinating thing to dive into on a whole different process.
Wow.
So
that's a lot, man.
I mean,
like you're downloading information into another person and like
yeah.
hoping
No,
that
I
it works
know,
out.
and that's what.
And hoping that it works out. That's the big one.
And that's literally, we've talked about that. We've had, other guests on talking, like Kira Slatanovich was on here talking about, like, she was like, her big struggle was, she was like, I don't know if I'm parenting correctly. And it's like, you don't know. You won't find out. You'll find out in like 20 years.
Yeah.
So like, it's a huge responsibility, man. That, and you know how I feel about kids.
Yeah, but I feel like
it's a responsibility. I don't think I'm ready.
This is my arrogance. I feel like my wife and I are uniquely qualified for it.
And like, you might be, of all the comedians I know, you're definitely, which is not saying much. You're definitely, you guys have a house. You're married first of all.
Yeah.
And you're, to me, you are not like a negligent person. Like, I think I would trust you to babysit if I had a kid. I would be like, I'd let you guys babysit. Whereas like Mal, I would never.
No, not in a million years.
Wait, what?
Right.
What the? I'm going to babysit.
Hey,
my-
baby, is it beer first or wine first? I don't remember.
Mal's blackout drunk on the couch.
Watch whatever you want in there. Keep it down though.
On your babysitting resume, it's like, your kid will not get the spins.
Hey, that's my beer. How did my kid get a beer? That's my
I'm
fear.
a super good babysitter. I'm pretty good.
You are. I know exactly what you are now. You are a 15 to 30 minute uncle babysitter.
That exactly.
I'm the uncle. Yeah.
yeah.
That's for
Someone,
sure.
That's
you're at a
exactly
party
what
and
it is.
you go, oh, I can watch him for like 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, but-
and you crush that. You know what?
Of course, but because of that, he thinks he'd be a good father.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's more than that, Mal. It's so much more than that.
Whatever.
You're the
you guys.
fun uncle. He's like, but I want kids. I'm like, okay.
I'm totally the fun uncle, but I've had them solo for like a week. I'm good. 5 and 3.
Solo for a week?
Yeah.
Just you.
Just me.
And a 5 and a 3-year-old.
I
5 and a
don't,
3.
I don't believe that.
Mom would be gone all day working, and she would get back. I had already put them to sleep. She would help
But
me
she
prepare.
would come home after work.
She would help me prepare the lunch.
Passed
for the
out
next
does
day.
not mean to sleep.
No, the kids were. The kids were asleep. I put them to bed, and then
You
Yeah.
know what? I'm impressed.
for a week, I did 5 days. I was.
You know,
I
kids
got
are
them to
forever,
school.
right?
Yeah.
You know, you have to do that like forever. It's not just a
I
week.
could do
but
it.
dude, it
I'm
goes-
looking forward to it. I think
It's been
gonna
a
be awesome.
month and it goes so fast.
Oh, everything.
It's so crazy. It's so
well,
completely bananas.
you're so busy, and it's like you don't have downtime anymore. So
No,
it's like
none.
you're constantly time is flying. Like
Yep.
it's insane. I couldn't imagine. I give hats off to all good parents
Yeah, trying. Doing my best.
or who are trying. Right.
Yeah. Try that's I mean in the end all you can really do is try.
Right.
So yeah, I'm doing that.
At the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
What we have a little bit of time left. What was the other struggle you wanted to talk about?
Well, I guess it makes sense in this context because
Yeah.
part of it is finally the reality of getting what you want is weighing on me.
and you're talking about having a kid.
The kid, the new job,
Mhm.
like this is gonna sound so humble braggy, but so the same week, like within the same days that my son was born, I started a new gig I'm the play-by-play commentator for Clash Royale League for a competitive esport.
Okay.
And it's, we shoot, it's a, 10, 12-hour day, 3 days a week. The money is, I'm making more now. Like the next 3 months, I'll make more than I've made doing minimum wage comedy store parking lot jobs for like 2 or 3 years.
And are you still working at the store?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Just time out. Yeah.
And well, considering how the job's going, it looks like it might be a permanent timeout.
Okay.
Because it looks like I'm like fingers crossed, but I feel like there's a longer opportunity with the.
You're on
with the company.
sabbatical.
I'm on sabbatical. Yes, that's what it is. Dude, I went on stage. I've been on stage like 3 times since the kid came, and
It's got to be hard.
oh well, one of them also like I'm doing fine because I've been doing this long enough, but I definitely have that like I'm not going up enough nervous energy where like I'm going faster and buzzier the whole entire time.
Yeah.
There's none of that like I'm not in the pocket ever. So that's been interesting dealing with that. But no, so I mean like I finally have a job in entertainment where I'm on camera, like I'm the host of the show.
That's
There's
great.
someone who stands by and like touches my makeup up every 5 minutes.
Great.
I'm making money. I have my son. And now also like I'm starting to get, for some reason, 10 years of nothing, of minimum wage, nothing.
Yeah.
And then now like
Ooh.
I'm getting not just this stuff, but also like there's comics who now want me to like do stuff for them.
Yeah.
Who, if you'd asked me 6 months ago, I'd be like, oh, this is a life-changing opportunity.
Right.
Like this, doing this podcast.
Like doing this podcast specifically.
Specifically.
I've been waiting for Candice to get me on this, let me ride these coattails for a long time.
I mean, this job though is a lot of like good enough for them, good enough for us type thing. Just working,
do you mean?
Working
Oh,
in
yeah.
entertainment.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
all you need is one person to
Oh, yeah.
take a shot on you.
And that's what's
then
happening.
It's like good enough for them to take
Of
a shot.
course.
Let's all give this person
Everyone
a
is
shot.
just
Well, yeah.
bandwagon.
Now I'm getting I'm having phone calls now. People who are like, "Oh, I want to offer you like we're talking about you doing a full-time position hosting for this thing,
Yeah.
Right.
and all this stuff where it's like money that I've never had
Yeah.
as an adult before, and
Feast or famine.
and that's it. That's what it is. 10 years of nothing, and now literally a bunch of life-changing opportunities
Yeah,
all at the exact
all at
same
once.
time.
And you're like, I can't juggle. It's
overwhelming.
It is
And
overwhelming.
I can't do it. Like Crime, our podcast, Shevsky and I are like trying to figure out how do we keep. It's so much fun to do. It's our favorite thing.
Yeah.
And we're like scrambling, going,
find time.
how the hell do we make this thing keep going the way at the quality that we want it to go
Right.
at?
Because that's a lot. If you guys listen to it, which I highly recommend, it's a great podcast.
3 eyes.
Yeah, crime with 3 eyes. That's right. You have to do research about a crime that happened, and then he tells the story to the guest, to Shefsky and the guest that they have on. So like he has to prepare like pages.
I write 3,500 to 4,000 words a week.
Jeez.
For the show.
It's very
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
so
intense.
they put a lot of effort. You know, as me and Mal, we don't prepare at all for this. We come in.
It's a normal podcast.
We come in here and we just talk shit.
You didn't attach weights to your back and hope you could carry them.
Yeah,
forever.
no. I honestly don't know. I can't. Like, I don't have time to, like, I've thought about like putting more into the podcast, but I'm like, I just don't know how at this exact moment. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot. It's a lot. Even just coming, it's a lot.
It is a lot. And you sit there and go like, it's going to be so great when I'm busy. But also now it's interesting because these two things that are both wonderful blessings at the same time, having my son and getting this job that has the potential to really change my family's future in a lot of ways. They both happened. He was born day 3 of rehearsals, and the first day of our shooting he was 4 days old.
Jeez.
So I'm gone the entire day, 3 days a week. I had planned on being home for the first 6 weeks, just being a dad.
Being there, right.
And so I'm missing a lot of those first few weeks. And then now as these other things are coming in, it's like, oh, now this time when my son is having his first couple of formative years, this is the time when this is all not just the time when the opportunities are coming up, when the make or break for my career and for my family's future is all happening right at the time when I need to be a dad the most.
Right.
And so that's a real tough thing that I'm trying to contend with. Talking about the struggle thing is figuring out, where do I draw the line? Like, how many of these things can I say yes to and still be a dad?
Right.
And still also more importantly, or equally as importantly, be a partner to my wife.
Right.
Right.
And so she's not all alone with this.
Yeah,
Right.
doing all the work.
So yeah, it's been weird. Because especially, you guys both know, like, for how long you just are completely inconsequential.
Right.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I'll say this, that at the same time, I have never felt more of a sense of worth or purpose.
Right.
Like, I have a real true sense of purpose in providing a life for my son and giving him guidance.
And
I
also with the new job.
and with the job, I have a sense of self-worth but that when I was wearing a logo on my shirt for so many years, I didn't have that same thing.
Right. So like, yeah, absolutely. So it's like, and in that that pride that you get from that, it's gonna help you with raising your kid. Whereas like, if you were still doing shit that you didn't want to do, that would affect your interactions with your kid, because you're carrying this weight of like, I'm doing something that I'm not even proud of,
Yeah, that I'm not proud of, and that isn't putting food on the table. Like, Mrs. Slaton's carried us for a while.
Right.
So this is finally that chance for me to do it the opposite direction.
That's awesome, man. I think those are like good problems to have.
They are wonderful problems to have, and that's why I was like, this is going to sound very humble bragging.
Yeah.
They're wonderful problems to have, but it's also like a whole new set of challenges where you talk about you don't get a redo on raising your son.
Right.
You get one chance to make him, and you're going to make mistakes, but you get one chance to make sure your kid comes out the way you're supposed to. And so trying to figure out how do I do that.
Yeah, but that one chance is like a lifetime.
chances. Yeah.
Right. Like you have even if you fuck up, you can be like, my bad.
Dude, I've been getting teary-eyed to Cats in the Cradle since I was a kid.
I shouldn't have given you those fireworks. I shouldn't have let Mal watch you. My bad.
Oh my gosh. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, the other scary part of it though is the Cats in the Cradle thing. That's the scariest one. Where like your kid's fine,
Right.
but in the end, he's like, you're my
Cats
dad.
in the Cradle.
The Cats in the Cradle song. When
And
you
the
coming
Silver
home,
Spoon?
son? I don't know when. But we'll be
But
together then,
I've never
son.
really taken in the lyrics before.
The whole point of the song is that the first few verses are the dad saying like, hey, I'm busy right now, but we'll do this later. We'll play ball later. I'll read to you later, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the last couple of
does it
verses
end?
are the son being like, oh yeah, I'll call you later, dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Turned out
Oh
just
yeah,
like you.
He turned out just like me.
Yeah.
The refrain in the beginning is, I'm going to be just like you, dad. And then he is just like you. And it's like, there's this gap, there's this distance.
I'm so impressed
Heartbreaker.
by
dude.
the range of your music, varieties. You've got the R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet, and here you are reciting Cats in the Cradle. Who sang that?
I don't know. Is that a John Denver? It's what it feels like.
I don't think it was John
I don't know who it
Denver.
was.
Someone
but
old. Like
someone in that range.
Yeah.
Whoever sang it didn't. John Denver died in a plane crash, didn't he? He died in one of those small, tiny Cessna jet
It's not
things,
Eric
right?
Clapton, right?
No, definitely not Clapton.
No, it wasn't Clapton.
No.
Look at, Paul, can you look this up, please?
Yeah, who sang Cats in the
Who sang-
Cradle? It might be.
He's gonna
It might
play
be
fact checker.
like. Yeah, it might be like Garfunkel and not
No.
Garfunkel.
Yeah.
The comedy duo, female duo, talking about. Did you find
Who
it?
is it?
Harry Chapman.
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 Okay, it's one of those ones where you're like, wow, you had a really good one.
Harry
Yeah.
Chapin? Chapin?
Okay.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Yeah, well, he made one song that has made fathers and sons have their hearts drop out of their chests
Yeah.
for decades.
Yeah.
That
So-
and Papa was a Rolling Stone. 2 songs about deadbeat dads.
Yeah.
What?
Well, we can close on Brother Lynch if you want to really like get it all.
On who?
Brother, you don't know Brother Lynch?
No. Who's that?
Like Sacramento horrorcore rapper. He was the king of Sacramento rap, like when gangster. He was the guy. I did a bit about him for a long time, but he was so gangster that like other people wouldn't be gangster after him. This is a real lyric of his. You ain't even seen me in my prime, eating baby brains, baby veins, baby spines. You're like, what?
What?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Try being gangster after this dude's eating babies. Good luck with all your guns.
He's talking about actual babies?
I mean, that was the song.
Yeah,
You
I don't-
better pray when you see me
I don't
put
like
that
it.
9 up in that pussy hoe. Yeah, it's legit hardcore.
Was he
But
talking
it
about
thumped. But it
Was
thumped,
he
dude.
talking about his dick or a gun?
Cock it back slow, rock it back and forth, wait for the nut, let the trigger go. Boom, pussy guts all over the room. Like,
Is
yeah,
he still
was,
rapping?
Oh yeah, he's still putting. He's got like a 25 plus year career.
Really?
South Sacramento, Sac of the Endo,
This is terrifying, but I'm going to look him up.
24 Garden Block.
I'm not going to let him babysit.
He gave a bunch of white kids from the suburbs in Sacramento something gangster to talk about. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hood is like in Sacramento.
hardcore.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
rough.
Pretty bad?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty bad. That's where he rapped from.
Sacramento is
South Sac.
interesting because it's like a half like very country people
Yeah.
and a half like kind of rough.
Hood.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the most diversities in the country. It's got like 360 different dialects and languages spoken.
Yeah.
But it's also just it's weirdly segregated racially, but not economically.
Right.
So like you'll go to a high school where it's 90% white, but you have like Beamers and Beaters in the same parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's a really strange
Dusty
strange
Whites?
city. Dude, Lady Bird nailed it. Dusty Whites, that's hilarious.
That's from Chappelle. He's talking about the line of voters for Trump. Or just voters. What was he talking about?
Trump voters.
Trump voters? Yeah, he uses the line of dusty whites.
That's fucking funny.
Are we done? Yeah. Oh,
We
you
did
guys-
it.
We did it. I don't want to. This was a great one, Rich. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me here.
I
Of
learned a ton
course.
because I
I know.
like,
I don't. Yeah.
I hear about Jewish stuff all the time, but I
I'm like, what are y'all
literally
talking
know
about?
nothing about it.
We're
so
actually
I
pretty
learned,
cool.
I learned so much today.
Well,
I like learning.
the Orthodox ones don't dress very cool.
Yeah, well, actually, the Orthodox ones dress like that because that's how like Russian nobles dressed in like the 18 whatevers when they were all poor living in the country, and so
But they
were
don't
like,
think they can just update.
I thought it was
Even if
supposed
they
to be 'cause
updated
they're
it to make
humble.
it-
It's just like this.
no,
is-
they imitated this like Russian. That's why they were like the streimels, like the big fur circles on their head.
Yeah.
that's how a Russian nobleman dressed in like 1840
That is
or whatever.
true.
Hilarious.
And they just chose that, and they're like, that's the thing forever. And then it became
Even
like
when
a
it's
way of
100
marking who you
degrees
are.
outside.
It's fucking crazy.
I don't understand.
It's very insular. It's like, yeah, it's a whole different. It's a whole different thing. Like what they do and what I do, there's connections. Like I can walk in there and figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like it's totally different.
Totally
worlds.
different.
Totally
Yeah.
different worlds.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I mean, there are kids in like some of these communities in New York. I don't know about as much in LA, but in New York, where like the kids don't learn English. They only speak like weird Yiddish dialects.
Jeez.
Not even Hebrew, weird Yiddish dialects, which is like Hebrew Spanglish,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, this has been a teachable struggle today,
I
huh?
always teach. That's what I do. I'm a teacher at heart.
Look at that. I have complete faith that you're going to raise a
A well-cut Jew.
acceptable amount of Jewish.
A pretty dick Jew. That's what I'm trying to raise.
That's my main concern for the ladies.
Also, my new Instagram name is Clef Dick. I just changed it.
Hashtag.
I forgot about that until now. God, that was fucking funny.
You welcome. You guys, Thanks for listening to The Struggle. This was fantastic, Rich. You guys can find me at Jokes by Candice on social media, CandiceThompsonComedy.com. Mal, where can people unfollow you?
MalHall.com, at MalHall on all social media, and MalHall TV on the YouTube.
And Rich, one more time, where can people follow
You
you?
can get on me at Rich Slaton, RichSlaton on all social media. You can follow the podcast, CRIIIMEPOD. And Crime, we'll be doing a live show at the Sacramento Comedy Festival in Midtown, downtown Sacramento on Saturday, October 13th at 6 p.m.
Nice.
So if you're around, come check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it'd be totally fun.
Go.
Yeah,
Mark
definitely
your
go.
calendars, you guys. Go.
Put it on there. Thanks for listening, guys. And if you are a regular listener to The Struggle, thank you for that. If you haven't rated and reviewed us on iTunes, please do that. It makes a huge difference. It really does. And please tell somebody. If we're bringing some joy to your life, spread it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Never mind. Bye.
Bye.
Shut up, Mal.